Do you remember how I initially approached you for the 5-hour movie?
Yeah, yes. I remember. So, because we were just talking about this earlier about, I think you said you shot it over like a year and a half, about a year and a half. Mm-hmm. I remember you were already, at this point, you were already like doing shit show stuff. You had already put out several pieces of work, and like we knew that you would just invite comics to be on. Mm-hmm. And I remember you were you had already started shooting some things with other comics, and I'm trying to think if I remember exactly when you approached me. I do just remember being like, I hope I get on this joint. Like I was just because I was like, all right, he's planning this thing. You were telling me like you're planning this movie, and then I think at that point maybe you'd already shot some stuff with like Steve, like Marcinowski, and like a few other. Obviously, I had like Burke on there, and I was just like, all right, yeah, let me see if I can do this. And all I just remember is the emphasis on like you're gonna be wearing the karate gi.
Yeah, it was like the only thing I knew was like you're gonna be a karate guy.
Yeah,
and
you're a karate man.
And I knew that there was like this general sort of like happy, like you're the only happy character in the fucking movie. Everyone else is like dead and depressed. So there is something about being like this beacon of light. But there's also this element of like I feel like the naivety is portrayed through like, I have a yellow belt. Like I'm super strong because I'm a yellow belt.
That's tied so poorly. And it was like the emphasis on like how bad we wanted it like tied out. Ah, man. Yeah, I think you were just like, I want you in the karate gi and
karate gi.
The gi. And the thing that got me was like, because that day, or I think maybe it was more than a day that we shot. The first day I shot and I got, you gave me the
was the first day we shot with Jeremy Bivens in the karate studio, or
that's the thing. It was I think I feel like the first day, because I just remember the studio being just like it's like, how do we get access to the studio? And then we got the armless mic guy that you're supposed to beat up, like the self-defense guy. Uh-huh. And you're just like, I just want you to go off on this thing. Like, just like, fuck around, have fun with it. Man, that was just a fun moment. And then I think from there we just like went from spot to spot.
Mm-hmm. Dude, the scene with you, Drew Harrison, and Brian Granger in the woods it's one of my favorite scenes of the movie, especially the line, you've meditated your way into this dark world, and then you start exploring the forest, and you just say, hope nothing bad happens to me. The way you even like kind of like cock your head at the two is so, hope nothing bad happens to me.
That the chase scene,
the chase was so upset about that. I remember because that was kind of the time you were getting really into exercising, so you were like looking at the positives, like, yeah, this is hard, but like I'm into it.
Yeah.
And then Zach is like, come on.
I like how, because I think
poor Steve in the suit though.
Was it Steve who was like, I think he maybe had some opposition to running.
Mm.
So
I mean, he was in a suit and like business shoes.
But I feel, I don't know, maybe it was your intention, but I feel like your original intention was to have us like run legitimately, but then we ended up slowing down to this like slow little like mini chase.
Right.
I was like, and you had it to where like we're just behind each other on some like Scooby-Doo shit.
And then I love like it's so it doesn't feel like it belongs with most of the movie, that scene. Like just the energy of the music that's playing. And also there's one shot where y'all are coming up onto the dock, like you're leaving the street and getting up on the dock, and there's some guy that's like walking to his car that like gets in the shot and he sees he's being filmed and he goes then he just walks to the side and y'all run past it. It's so great.
Man. Yeah, that was cool. And I was glad I got the chance to do that because, like, going back to, like, it got me back to this space of, like, I got to be silly, goofy, but also, like, really feel what was happening. And like, because obviously you were saying like the decisions you made in this film were very like, I'm just going with a thought and I want to like see this play out. And it was kind of cool to embody that because like I got something out of it too. Also just the idea of like being comfortable shooting this thing, look at just outrageous in a yellow belt karate gi, but like knowing that what the message and the intention was for it, it just helped me just like block out everything. And I was just having fun. Like I was just like, whatever this is, I'm with it. Like we're going here, we're going there. And then we shot in the morning. Like we did those like mystic scenes with, what's my guy? Why am I forgetting his name? The old sensei.
Oh, yes. Kent West,
who I
Master Goonis.
Master Goonis. Mr. Goonis.
Yes.
I need your teachings. Yes. I it's funny.
This line where he's like, I brought you this sword. I've been keeping it in my fucking butt. There may still be some poop on it. I just feel like these are things I just told this guy. Like, that was like the first time I worked with him too. And he's probably just like, what the hell did I get myself into?
That was the thing. This process was it. Like most of the time, not every time I've done like stuff, even for you, whatever. There was always like a slight script where you're like, this is what I want you to do. Whether it be like working with you or anybody I've like done like films with, it was like, I want you to say this, make sure this line gets hit. And I'd memorize the line, like same way we do with the music. Like I start memorizing stuff. With this particular one, it was heavy. Like we're here physically. We know there's an action you want us to do, but almost every time you're like, do it this way, do it that way, have fun with it this way, like fuck around with it. And I think he had to do that butt line like 6 or 7 times. Yeah, and you wanted the right, even the happened to me, like like you got it to a point where it got there because you were just like, say it this way, say it kind of goofy, and then I did it a couple times, and then we just kept. Like, I love that concept of like it wasn't just a scripted thing. It was more of like, now that we're in the moment, say this line, but say it how you want, or say it like really good,
right,
right, oddly. Yeah. Every time I'm here, or like every other time, like I'll see that guy.
Really?
Yeah,
that's funny.
He'll be like out at like Kiefer Wine and Beer or something, and like whether he remembers that exact like scene or whatever. It was just like we do this eye lock where it's like we know each other.
Yeah,
we have some shared trauma. We were in the woods together saying some wild shit,
right?
for a crazy man,
right?
Yeah.
So what? I'm always curious about this, especially for those few people that really worked on this movie a lot. Have you actually watched the whole thing, or have you just kind of like gone back to it and like jumped around in pieces? Because I know it's fucking 5 hours. It's a hard sit through.
So I watched it once when it came out. I think you did put it up online, right, on like YouTube.
Can you bring the mic just a little bit closer?
Oh yeah, I got you. Yeah. I watched it all the way. Like one time. It sucks. I was already in New York by the time you had released it. I would have loved to have watched it in the theater.
Yeah, I would have loved to have
for that event. I think you even like asked at one point, or like I know you gave me the date for it, and I just knew because I think I had just gotten there, and I was just like, "Fuck, I can't leave." Like I was already like I was working or something. And right around when you released it, I just sat and watched the whole thing, and then in 2020, I watched it again, but I did like skip around and like get through certain like parts, but
my question was what did you think when you first watched it? Like how did you feel about it? And also not just once you watched it, but maybe even before. I guess it would be interesting to hear, what were you thinking as you were making it? Like what was going on in your head? And then like when you finally saw it, then what did you think?
So you had already sort of prepped me when we were shooting that like this particular segment is not this particular segment of it feels it's like a tonal shift from like certain parts of it. Cause like you had already told me I was like sort of like a hero character and this, and then as we shot more, it was the idea that I'm gonna transically come to this place, and this world is dangerous, but even me doing it was still kind of goofy. Like it was fun because it's like, I meet Granger and then we got here, boy. I'm gonna get in that ass.
Oh my God, Granger's line, the way he delivered, I'm gonna hold you down and fuck you and eat your poop.
Yeah, and you're just like holding hands. He's got his little laugh going. It was goofy as shit, man. Do you remember we were? Did you keep it in one time where we were doing it on that trail? I think it's near you. Was it near UNCW?
Yeah, it was in the UNCW one.
You remember when somebody walked past?
Yeah, I don't think I did keep that in there.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
I just know that we shot and it was just like this moment of like there's just like a random person running through there, but I just thought that was like, even in that moment, it just felt fun and goofy. And I think we had a riff about it. I don't think you kept it, but I think you did record that just interaction of like a person. And then it got progressively. I could see the concept of it being progressively darker because then at one point we were shooting in the green screen studio, and you had me with the sword, and I was supposed to be fighting these demons, or I was fighting something.
The wolf.
The wolf. Yeah, I was fighting the wolf. And you wanted me to be serious, and you did these close-ups, and like I got what you were saying. It's like he's in this world, it's gonna be darker. But based on everything I had shot before, I was just still in this like happy, chill place. Like everything was still cool. And then I watched the movie, and I see the world that you had actually painted. And I'd seen some clips. I saw like a clip.
Right.
I think Gerard was in a clip. And I'd seen some and how they go together. But then like that opening sequence with the waves and the darkness and everything, I was like, that part felt almost transic. Like it was just like it felt like some 2001 Space Odyssey type shit.
Right.
Where it just like it took me out of it for a second. And then that helped me realize, I was like, oh, this world is like dark, and then my character being there is such a contrast to it. Like, yeah, this goofy thing, and these people, they do this stuff, but seeing it all put together like took me back. So I did like that for that, and I liked being a part of that. Like, it's like, all right, I need somebody who can be this like light character, and then ultimately do a very dark thing. But also good thing, as I guess you've kind of felt.
I mean, I'm still confused about really what the fight with the wolf means.
What exactly? Because we've been talking about that since
I told you a theory I have about it, but I'm not like, oh, that's it.
Yeah. And I guess I like that it's open-ended in that. Like, because it kind of it starts Space Odyssey. It finds some root. It lives in this weird world, and then it almost ends Space Odyssey. Like for me, it was just like it kind of had this like vague, like obviously stuff was like we hit endpoints, but there were just points where I'm like, what did that mean? But it's okay that I don't know. I feel like it's okay. That
Yeah. You can't, because you can't, like, I can't know. Yeah. Really.
And the fact that you telling me that like I have theories about it, and I actually I reevaluate it.
Yeah, reconsider.
Yeah. I think there's like beauty and like importance in that. I don't feel like everything has to just be this like, all right, I shot this thing and it's done. Like, I like that there's just some like, I don't know what the fuck's going on right now. Like, I don't know what's going on right now. And I guess it's just how I'm feeling at the moment that'll help me like interpret it. Which is why I kind of wanted to see it in theaters. Like I want to see it on a big screen, because watching stuff on another screen, which is why like I might project it or something at some point. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I mean, we're coming. This will be in November. That'll be 5 years since it's been screened. So I've thought about maybe doing like some sort of screening somewhere, like a 5-year anniversary screening or something like that. But
How did you feel watching it with people?
So it was interesting. So we did it at Thalian Hall.
Yeah.
Not in the big, not in the big theater, but the black box upstairs. So it's like that little private theater that could seat like maybe like 100 people or something. And there was like a little over 50 people that came because it was divided into 2 hour and 45-minute segments pretty much. And then there was a 30-minute intermission in between those two segments. So for that first 2 hours and 45 minutes, there was, a little over 50 people. And then I said to everyone, I was like, hey, I understand this is a really long thing. And some of y'all probably have lives to get back to and also have seen enough of this to know maybe you don't want to see the rest. I was like, that's fine. You can leave. And I would say less than half of them left, but I'd say about 20 of them left. So then there's like 30 something people that finish it out with me. And, it was really interesting to see, 'cause, like you said, a lot of this movie is kind of like mesmerizing and it kind of like takes you out of it. And I always talk about too, how like,
music's important in this too.
Yeah, and that was the other thing I was going to say that was really cool about the theater and the uninterrupted experiences. You get the booming experience around you of the soundscape of that movie, and there's constantly this droning going on in the music.
That undertone of like, and it's uncomfortable. It is. But the
score
that.
Makes you sick.
Yeah, but it does. Yeah, it's fucking like it's a little like it gives you like an uneasiness.
Yeah.
And part of me likes that.
Yes.
In an experience. I don't know. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love, like, what I've always loved about David Lynch movies is the complication of emotional reaction he creates. Because it's never just like, oh, this scene makes me happy or this scene scares me. It's like he puts funny with disturbing and eerie and then has something very sweet and emotional and pure, but also with like this dark underbelly. So there's just, and to me that feels more real and like this infinite interpretability of the movie. Well, I feel like that's more like how life is. It's kind of this really dense and complex interpretable thing that we're looking at. And there's something about this element of the darkness and the stomach churning, like being, because I see the world that's created in this movie as this dystopian, chaotic inner world. Like this, in some ways, it's a poetic representation, a visual representation of what I felt my mental illness was, that I was coming to be aware of. And it was like by seeing this product that came out of me, I'm now seeing this inside of my brain and psychology in a little bit. And it is sickening and disturbing. And I'm like, what? Like, this is my processor. This is how I make things. And this is the place it's coming from. I was like, I have some things to think about.
To unpack,
a lot to unpack here, a lot to consider and kind of meditate on. But here's the beautiful thing. That I think, like you're saying, the opening scene has, especially a lot of stuff at the end, and then just throughout, there's little things. There's like you have this really messy, amateur shot with a handycam, oversaturated, colorful, dark, dreary, sickening thing. But then you have just some random moments and random shots and random sequences and random exchanges with characters and actors that are actually very beautiful, that are like really like masterfully unfolded, but then it goes right back into it's a total mess. And so you have these moments where you start to get mesmerized and brought into it and you're falling for the illusion of cinema, but the majority of the movie is taking you out of it to where you have to watch this thing and be aware you're in this for 5.5 hours sitting in your own body watching a thing made by someone who might just be fucking with you and none of this means anything, or this is the most deeply meaningful thing that you've ever seen. You know, and that's how I feel about it. It's like, to me, I see it
and it's both.
Yes, it's simultaneously the worst thing I've ever made and also the best and deepest piece of art I've ever made.
Yeah. And I mean, like being a part of that though was just fun. Like it was shooting the shit with the boys, with the home, like making. And
that was the original intention. Was looking at the last two movies, like, yes, those last two movies were good and they were polished and I'm happy with them. I'm glad I made them. I need to revert back to the original thing that makes this kind of creative, hanging out with friends thing a reality. That needs to be the core of this process. It needs to be loose and fun for everyone. It needs to be engaging and collaborative. And the thing I care about most is exactly as you're describing. Like, we're here, we're in it, have fun. I'm going to give you some direction. Like, try it this way, do it this way.
Doing the bullet time.
Dude, and the way that looks.
It's just like shit like that, where it's just like, and that's like the meta part of like movies where it's like, you know, people, they'll sit and watch this 5-hour thing, whatever. But like, I got to do and act out some sequences I probably never ever would have with people who like, I just like, oh, I never got the chance to work with this person on this platform and in this way, and it turned out the way it did, regardless of whether it was handycam done or whatever. Like, the intention behind it is still like pure, and I'm like, fuck yeah, this ride, so people should see it. Like, should rock out with it. What was your weirdest what was the weirdest comment you got about it? Did anybody like say anything about it after? Did like they tweet about it or?
No, you know, and I got like, because it's rare that someone says something genuinely negative to me in like a confrontational way. So I didn't get anything of that. I mean, the most common critique, which I knew as the thing was unfolding and going in and realizing, oh, this is going to be, I went in thinking the thing was going to be like 3 hours, maybe 3.5. But then as it kept going, I was like, no, okay, it's 5. It's 5 hours and 20 minutes. And the most common criticism is, did this really have to be this long? And I can't say it in just a couple sentences to get people to get it. But a lot of the purpose of it, like I was talking about, the uncomfortable experience of like knowing you're in your body, having to be self-aware while you're watching the movie. It's a major part of the experience. And a lot of the unpolished nature of it is a part of like the heart of it. It's part of what needed to be in my face and realized as the person making it and then analyzing this thing I made. And it has gotten me to think more deeply about my general philosophy that is pretty anti-revisionist. It's pretty anti-polished. It's anti-professional. It's very centered around, what do I want to make? What is something that would not get made if it's not me doing it?
You are a stone turner. That's your like, and that's what like can sometimes polarize a person, where it's just like, but it's also, I as a creative, I like it.
Yes.
Because I like the idea. It's like, nah, fuck, like they say don't turn that stone. Fuck it, I'm gonna turn that stone. Like I need to know, like we were talking earlier, like what is the why? Like I kind of get that headspace. And I think that that's something that you live in perpetually, and it's like, it's a big like, no, I want to keep turning this thing, and like even if it is uncomfortable, fuck it.
Right.
Kind of that for some reason gets to like a higher meaning for you. And so like it makes sense. Right. Like, why wouldn't you make this thing that's so great and uncomfortable that I need you to experience it too, because that's kind of what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is, I feel like not the greatest analogy, but I was thinking like, you know, getting a 30-minute massage or even a 90-minute massage would feel very different from the experience of getting a 5-hour massage.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's what I mean by there's something inherent about the experience. Like, there's a bunch that I don't know about why it needed to be 5 hours and 20 minutes. I mean, and here's the thing that I didn't realize until maybe a year after the movie was finished and it had that 5 hour and 20 minute runtime. I didn't realize I was born at 5:20.
Oh,
there's random like synchronicities that are connect with a lot. Like I was explaining some to you earlier, that there's just random synchronicities that this movie has connected with things that had already happened in my life before I made it, and then things that have happened in my life since then. And you know, you can look at it as like, well, it's just because I pay attention to this movie and I can find and connect things at random in my life like that. But I don't know. To me, the most important thing was it was almost like this necessary portal I had to go through, where I had to let go of any care about how well this does and how well anyone else likes it. But it's about the way that the making of this and then the analyzing it and my motivations later are really going to help me understand and deepen my relationship with creativity itself. And I feel like that has absolutely been the case.
Yeah. I mean, this shit hit theaters. So, which is what, like, the fact
A
that you-
theater.
a theater, but it hit a theater.
Yeah.
It like that. Like I remember, I think I remember, when you posted about the screening, and I think at that time, because I was already in New York, I think Gerard just got there, or he was planning to go, or he was leaving, or like we were talking, and I remember like. I remember showing him that link. He's like, "Get the fuck out of here!" It's how the fuck the camera get failing out. I was like, "That's a fucking move." Like, regardless, you got a movie played at a spot. Like, I just thought that was like really cool. So like,
Yeah.
critique all you want, say whatever. It's like, nigga, it hit theaters. Nigga, I got box office tickets. Like, what the fuck you want from me? Like, that's pretty. To me, that's like a shelve it as something moment.
Yes. Yeah. I definitely.
It wasn't just shot at the local coffee shop on a projector. Like, people sat in a theater to watch this fucking thing. So like,
ate popcorn, drank wine, smoked vape pens.
Yes. He's like, I remember him going on a rant about it. He's like, this motherfucker got it in a historical downtown theater.
City Hall.
He got City Hall. And we like riffed on that for like a solid minute. It was just like a funny thing. I was like, damn, Cameron actually did some shit. That's a wild boy. That's a wild boy.